Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to go over my 2024 stock trading template. This is a new version from the stock trading template I set up in 2022. So whether you're trading stocks actively or you're just a buy and hold investor who's holding on for a long time, this template can help for both of those cases. You can track your portfolio balance, how you're doing on individual stocks. Whether you're trading or holding long term, you can easily track that. And so I use it myself as well, just to get an idea if I'm doing. So it pulls in also the stock prices using Excel's stock history function. So it'll automatically pull that data in as well. So on the main tab here, on this instructions tab, it walks you through how to use the file, how to set it up, how to enter transactions. And I'm also going to do that in this video. So to start with, if I want to enter transactions, I've got buttons here on this trading journal here on the home ribbon. I've got enter transactions, delete entry, and I've got a refresh button as well. That's for the reports. So the one that you're going to use probably the most is this enter transaction button. So what I'm going to do is just enter some transactions as of, let's say, January 2020. So if I click on this button here, it doesn't matter what tab I'm on. And so when I launch this, it's going to automatically populate today's date. So it's February 27th. I'm doing this video. So if you want to change this date, you can use the date picker button. So if I click on this, it opens up a date picker here. So if I want to go back a couple months, I can use these buttons here to go back. If I want to go back, let's say I want to enter transactions from, January of 2020. Right, so I can just type in the year here, just double click it, type in 2020, and then I'm just going to press tab, and then you'll see that it updates. So if I want to go back to 2019, I can do that. So if you want to backdate, you can do that easily through here. So I'm going to enter some transactions as of January 1st, 2020. So I set that date, and now so there's a bunch of options here to choose from. So open a new position. So this is if you don't already own the stock, you're buying it for the first time. If you do already own it and you're buying more shares, you can add to an existing position. If you're selling shares of an investment you already own, you'd use sell shares. You'd enter a contribution if you're adding cash to your portfolio. So this is important when you're first setting up the template, is making sure that you've got your cash position set up. Anytime you withdraw cash, use the enter withdrawal option. If you're entering dividends, you can track dividend payments here as well. And if you want to enter starting balances, which is probably what you're going to need to do initially to get it set up, is you can use that option there. So I'm going to walk through just opening a new position for a bunch of stocks. So as you can see, we've got our fields automatically generate. So depending on the option I select, I'll have different fields showing up. I got my starting balances. I'm just putting my ticker, my shares amount. But in this case, I'm opening a new position. So I'm going to put in my ticker. So I'm just going to say, let's say I bought shares of all the Magnificent 7 stocks back on January 2020. All right. So let's start with Apple. So around January 2020, it was trading at around $70 a share. And so I'm going to say I bought 100 shares at a price of $70. Now, the one thing to keep in mind is that this is pulling stock prices using the Google history function, or the stock history function, I should say, in Excel. And so these are going to be adjusted for any stock splits. So that's just something to keep in mind, is that you want to use the adjusted price. So basically, if you were to go to Yahoo Finance and see what that stock price is now, January 1, 2020, it's going to be adjusted for any stock splits. So it's just to keep that in mind, because if you enter it at the value before it's split, then that's going to mess up how your returns look. So just keep that in mind when you're entering the price, especially for some of these tech stocks that have split their shares. That could be a bit of an issue. So as far as fees, if you have any commissions, you can enter that, let's say $10. And I also have an option here to track different strategies. So you may have different investing strategies. One may be a risky speculative approach. One may just be a typical buy and hold. So you can change those strategies here. So I got buy and hold, contrarian, speculative. So if I click on update strategies here, I'll have the option to add another strategy if I want, or I can delete one of the existing ones that I've got here as well using the delete button. But once you've updated, then you can just select the strategy that you want. So if you don't trade a lot or you don't have a lot of strategies that you need to track, you can just use the buy and hold one and just do that. So once I've got everything filled in, I'm going to hit the post transaction button. So it's going to calculate my total value, including the fees. And it's going to post this to two places. One is on the transactions tab and the other on the activity tab. So the activity tab is just basically a log of all the transactions that I've entered. Whereas the transactions tab, this is more for traders to track their open and closed positions. So I'm gonna hit OK. It's gonna ask me if I want to post another entry, and if I say yes, it's gonna remember that date, so January 1, 2020. So I can just continue on, especially if you're entering a lot of transactions. You don't want to keep on changing the date each time. You can just keep on saying yes. And now let's do open position. Let's do another one. We can do Amazon stock. Let's say again 100 shares at around $90. Again, this is the stock split adjusted price. Again, $10. Do buy and hold. Post a transaction. And now post another one. Open another position. This time let's do Google stock. 100 shares at $60. $10 fees. Buy and hold as well. Post a transaction. What I'm also going to do at this stage is also enter in my cash. So I'm going to enter in a contribution of, let's say, $100,000 cash starting, and post that transaction as well. So I'm going to hit no now, and now I'm going to go into the activity tab. So here we can see we have a list of all the buy orders I've sent, contribution amount. And if I go to the transactions tab, I'll see all my open positions. So I've got the entry date, when the position was opened, the average cost, the shares, the fees, investment total, including those fees. So once I close these transactions, when I sell these positions, I'll have a sale value, a profit loss, a return. So I've got the strategy in there, the exit date, and then I've got the number of days held. So we've got a holding category, and we can specify this whether it's long, short, or medium, depending on the value in the settings tab. And then it tells us the status, whether it's open or not. And so these other reports are just for pulling into the summary tab, which I'll go over in a second here. So this is just sort of like sort of your tracker for, if you're doing a lot of day-to-day trading. Whereas the activity log is just the log of absolutely everything. It's used in the reports and pivot tables and the summaries to track that. So before I go into the summary tab and look at the reports, let's actually sell some of these stocks. So I'm going to go to enter transaction, and I'm going to just leave today's date as the default and say I'm going to sell my shares of, let's say, NVIDIA. So all 100 shares at a price of $750. Let's say again, $10 in fees. So I'm going to hit post transaction. It's going to look to make sure that position exists. And because I'm selling all the shares, it's going to tell me that this will close out my position in the stock. So I'm going to hit OK to confirm. And now it's going to sell and update that position. So here we can see transactions posted. And let's do a couple more. So now let's sell shares of Meta Platforms as well. So we got 100 shares of everything, just to keep it simple. And the stock price now is around $480, $10 in fees. And again, it's going to give us that prompt saying it's going to close everything out. And let's do one more. Let's say we sell shares of Microsoft, but actually let's change this date so that I go a couple days back, let's say to the week before, February 19th. And so let's say 100 shares, and then Microsoft stock at about $400. Post transaction, hit OK. And before I go to the reporting, I'm just going to do one more entry, and this one is just going to be to enter a dividend. So let's enter a dividend. So Microsoft stock pays dividends. So let's say we've got $500 in dividends, no fees, and post that transaction. So I'm going to show you a bunch of different entries and how this shows up on the reports. So Now we've got Meta Platforms, NVIDIA, Microsoft. So they're all close. So we have that sale value in here. We've got our profit and loss, our returns, the day that we sold the stock. So this one was February 19th. So the number of days held. So this can be helpful if you want to track how long you've been holding those positions for tax purposes potentially. So, and again, these ones are just reporting. So this will tell us if it was recently traded, whether it fell within a certain range. So again, this is sort of like your dashboard to see, okay, what are your open positions? What type of return have you made on these trades? So you could potentially open up another one for these stocks, and it's going to track them on here as well. Now, let's go to the summary tab here. And this is where we've got the reports. So when we open up this tab, you want to hit the refresh button just to make sure that the charts update, because there are some macros in here to make sure that everything refreshes. So we've got our portfolio balance. We've got our profit or loss. Obviously, we sold some stocks. So we're sitting on some huge gains. So you can see one of these charts updated here. So we've got our profits and losses by individual stocks. We've got our the market value of our positions, the returns, the percent of the portfolio they make up. Here we've got our portfolio balance, the cash, fair market value, book value, unrealized gains or losses. So we've got all that stuff in there. We've got monthly gains and losses. So this is a change in the month over month values to see how your portfolio is doing. And here we've got our dividends. So that $500 dividend from Microsoft. We've got a chart here that we can customize if we want to look at how individual stocks have done. So by default, I've got this worksheet locked, but if you unprotect it, we can select multiple stocks. So let's say we want to track how Meta's done, right, over the past 12 months. So we can track that there, compare that to, NVIDIA, perhaps look at Google, right? So this is an easy way to sort of visually look at, up to 5 tickers that you've got in your portfolio to see how they've been performing, so we can see their percentage gains over the past 12 months. So that's an easy dashboard that you can look at to see what your portfolio looks like. And so obviously this got a boost because of those positions that were sold. And so that'll update on the previous month, on the next month, once these unrealized gains go away. So there temporarily will be a bit of an increase if you sell it in the same month and post a big gain, but that will fix itself in the next month when we're looking at the end of the month, because this is these unrealized gains and losses. It's looking at the positions as of the end of February or the most recent date. So if we've also booked these profits and losses and there's unrealized gains, obviously there's going to be a bit of a double count here temporarily, but once you go into the next month, that'll come back down and get rid of those unrealized gains. As for the trading summary, so we've got gains and losses within the past 60 days. So if you're a trader, this is maybe something that might be more helpful to you if you're tracking gains and losses. And if I go to the settings tab, there's a section where you can specify your short-term trading days cutoff. So right now it's set at 30 days or 60 days. If you want to look at the past 30 days, you can do that as well. And on the summary tab, it's going to show the past 30 days. Right now, I've only got a couple of transactions that are both within 30 days. So they're both going to show in here. But as you can imagine, if you've got a lot of trading activity over the past 30 days, this is where, looking at daily reports may be helpful. So it's got the total number of trades. So these are trades that are completed. We've got the holding days, percent of profitable trades. We've got the best return, the worst return, even though it's still a pretty good return. So here we got a breakdown of holding days by strategy, number of completed trades. So this is where the strategies come into play. So again, if you don't track this, you may not need to look at this section, but we've got best returns, worst returns. And so it's automatically going to categorize a cutoff to where it's going to start tracking worst returns. Even though this is still a good return, obviously, it's going to automatically look at the average and basically do a bit of a cutoff there. So this is where, this is more of a dashboard if you're looking for your trading results. If you do a lot of trades and you need to track on a day over day performance. If you're a long-term investor, then obviously this is the dashboard that's going to be most useful to you. But obviously you can look at both. So like I said, this is a dashboard that I use myself. And so by default, when you do the refresh on here, it's going to lock this sheet just because just to prevent someone from accidentally clicking one of these charts and moving something around. So it's going to lock it, but there's no password on this, so you can just easily unlock it as you need to, especially if you want to adjust this stuff. So there's no password on it, but I just did it just for the sake of not accidentally clicking or moving stuff around unintentionally. And so one last thing for the stock performance chart. So I've got this goal set here for 15%. So this dashed line, right? So if you have a benchmark that you want to adjust, you can change this value as well. Let's say 20%, 50%, whatever the case may be, to track your performance and compare how your stocks have done against that benchmark. So that's an overview of the summary tab, and that's really the main one that you're probably going to want to track if you just want to look at your long-term portfolio's performance. So that's a wrap for this template. If you want to download it, I'll leave a link in the description for this video, so you can go in there, go to my website and download it. And please feel free to leave any feedback, good or bad. Just let me know if it's working properly, if you have any issues with it. I've been working on it for a bit, but obviously haven't used it extensively to be able to test out every possible scenario. So let me know any sort of issues that you come across, and let me know how it works and how you find it. So hope you found this template and this video useful. Thanks for watching, and make sure to subscribe for more videos and more templates. Thanks for watching.